Yan, medyo ilayo natin kasi baka laitin na naman yung ating lips and other body parts. Ayan, finally may time tayo mag FB Alive kasi nga what's the point of doing FB Live kung medyo hindi ka alive, no? Kung wala kang energy, no? So sabi ko nga last week, I had to finish a 10,000 word policy paper. Grabe. And then, yun nga, nakita niyo, I just posted my article on Nikkei Asian Review on the tide shifting against President Duterte. So momentum now is on Bongbong Marcos' side as the candidate of continuity and restoration and the administration candidate. Habang, of course, yung opposition, medyo may alam na. Pag-usapan natin yan shortly. But nonetheless, of course, the momentum is shifting against President Duterte. So I've had to do a lot of articles and interviews on that. And kanina na ulit yung New York Times because they're trying to anticipate if Sara Duterte is going to pull off a substitution candidate move. So I just had to coordinate some of these interviews among other things. So yan, medyo may time na tayo. I was really hoping to do this today earlier at around 1 p.m. Itbulaga time. But grabe yung schedule, and then last night, early morning, I had to write 2 articles before coming here. So pasensya na if I didn't do this on time, and wag kayong magalit sa akin. So today, there are a lot of things to talk about kasi medyo matagal tayo walang FB Live. By the way, thank you so much for continuing to watch us, support us. Us, actually, it's just really me, but me and imaginary producers and all. Medyo okay yung ating views. Among others, I think more than 1 million views, 1.4, 1.5 million views ang nakuha natin the other week, no? In terms of minutes of view. Hindi lang yung few seconds, pero minutes of view. So, sana tuloy-tuloy ito, no? Kamusta dyan? Friends natin from Cabanatuan. Yes, from Dublin, Ireland. Yeah, Dublin. Yan, Conor McGregor. Yan, from United Kingdom. Yan ang gusto ko dito, from Pampanga. Wala dyan mga aking kapsat from Baguio. Yan. Actually, yan ang maganda yung pag nagko-comment ako sa gitna ng gabi, kamusta kayo dyan? Gising pa kayo or mag-FB Live. Ayan na yung time zone. Bigla man nagre-reply yung mga nasa kabilang time zone. Ayan, sir, gising pa kami, buhay pa kami. Ayan, nagre-reply sila. So that's good. That's good to have followers from all around the world. Ayan, damit nga San Diego. Ayan, dyan yung relatives natin dyan. Titos from San Diego. Kamusta dyan? Friends from Samar. Yeah, from down under Australia. Yeah, one of my favorite places. Ay, walang hugot yan. Walang hugot. Tapos na kami. Mamayan. But Australia, of course, always close to my heart. Yan, may Chris Chappell ng China. Ito na naman kayo kay Chris Chappell eh. Matutroll na naman tayo niyan. Alam mo si Chris Chappell, anti-China yan, bias yan, hindi ako ganon. Yan, from Zambales. Diba dyan galing siya, no? One of my favorite presidents, Magsaysay originally. Yan, Cavite. Yan, sige, ganun tayo ha. Cebu, yan, Cebu, one of my favorite places. Now, pag-usapan natin yung, balikan ko kayo, yan, San Fernando. Sige, interactive tayo. Pero balikan natin itong issue ng opposition. Kasi, as I've been saying for weeks and months, Bongbong Marcos Jr. is the candidate to beat. So even for the Dutertes, they have to accept that as a reality. No, na ngayon magsa-substitution siya. Or hindi. Actually, honestly, I won't be surprised. Bato na talaga yung candidate ng PDP laban, but not necessarily the candidate of the administration. It's very possible Bato de la Rosa will stay there, but will stay there. But it's really Bongbong Marcos who will be the real candidate of the administration. And then, let's see if Sara will be vice presidential candidate, separate or run at all. Malakas kasi si Tito Soto eh. Mahirap talon niya Itbulaga. So, I can understand where Sara is coming from. Siguro she rather want run for president. Parang andyan na si Bongbong. If she runs for vice president naman with Bongbong, andyan naman si Bongo. Andun si... substitute siya kay Bongo. Ipit talaga, mahirap yung situation kay Sara Duterte ngayon eh. But the momentum is definitely on the side of Bongbong Marcos. Pero doon naman tayo doon sa, yan, Baguio represent, yan, mga kapsat. Gawit akta. Madamdaman po eh. Sige. Ayan, pag Christmas, masarap umuwi dyan sa Baguio eh. Sa malamig, alam mo na, pag malamig, family time, jogging, yeah, maganda yan. But anyways, shout out dyan. Sarah without H, hindi Sarah. Okay, Sarah Udod. No, I mean, out or in doesn't matter. The ship has left. The political ship has left. Bongbong Marcos is consolidating the right, the vote of the right wing of the political spectrum. So let's see. Ayan, may mga BBM solid dyan. Yan, lalo na yung mga taga, Hilbay, di ba si Hilbay nag-resign na dun sa Action Demokratiko? Di ba parang gano'n? Ayan, Quezon Province. Ayan naman gano'n. Ormoc, yan, Ormoc. Kay ano yan, di ba, Mayor Gomez? Mayor Gomez. Let Bato lead. Let Bato pick. Ayan. Maganda hashtag yan. Gusto ko yan. Let Bato lead. Let Bato pick. Yan, maganda yan. Pampanga, Rizal, Singapore. Yeah, Spore. One of my favorite places in the neighborhood. Vancouver, one of the few not so cold places in Canada. Kasi usually November andun ako sa Halifax for the Halifax International Security Conference. Ang lamig! Ang lamig! Grabe sa pati Toronto ang lamig. Ayan na. Ayan, shout out from De La Salle, my former home. Yeah, Naga City. Yeah, ganun tayo guys. Tuloy-tuloy lang tayo. Go lang tayo. Let's be active. Let's keep it going, FP alive. Ako lang ganyan feeling ko walang masyadong nag-FP alive. Yan, Davao Oriental. Friends from Mindanao. Let's get it on. Let's go. Marikina. Mindoro. Kamusta po kayo dyan? Yes, let's get the discussion going. So yon, eto na, distract na naman ako Kasi gusto ko naman ipakita na pinapansin ko naman yung niyo. Parang hindi sabihin na, ako, soplado. Kamsur. Yan, medyo may rin tayo dyan. Hugot tayo dyan. Hindi naman hugot. Konti lang. Pangasinan. Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Yeah, very good. Very nice. Marami tayong. Kamsur again. Mga Bicolano friends tayo dyan. Nueva Ecija. Yes. Mga Ilocano friends. Nasaan kayo dyan? Sydney, Australia. Yung debate nyo. Wag na yan. Tama na. Move on. Yan. From the land of our prophets. Meron tayo dyan. Tapos may Naga City. From Japan. Ohayo gozaimase. Okay, yeah, Japan also very close to my heart. I did the PhD summer school done sa Waseda before, dun sa Shinjuku district. Yeah, Japan, one of my favorite places. From Mars, ay gusto ko yan. Kamusta si Mars? Yung Mars na si Baguio Beneco, aba? Ay, si Tita Vanji pala yan. Okay, o tama na yan. May Canada. Yan. From United Arab Emirates. Wassalamu alaikum. Yan. Maganda dyan. May Leyte. May Cebu. Ayan. Yes. By the way, lumabas na yung podcast namin with Dr. Lizando Claudio from University of California, Berkeley, my former colleague in Ateneo, who also went to La Salle later on. So, please panoorin yan sa Project Pilipinas. Maganda yung usapan. Hacienda Luisita ang pinag-usapan namin among other things. Ano yung mga problema sa Liberal Party, sa opposition. Pero pinag-usapan din namin ang panahon ng Marcos. The good, the not so good, the bad, and ugly, and all of that. Hindi lang yung bad lang or hindi lang yung good lang, no? So, we discuss all of that, no? Yan, may Antarctica pa. Ay, kamusta dyan? Anong oras bang Antarctica? Pasaway kayo, binubuli nyo ako. May Aklan. Yan, may dumadaming natin, mga friends natin dyan. My United Kingdom. Yes, Cagayan. Dapat mag-radio station na lang yata ako. Mas masayang ganun, no? San Francisco, California. Alam niyo ba, yung last year nag-travel ako, among others. Ako yung isang loko na nagta-travel kahit may pandemic ilang beses na ako nag-travel kaya ang dami akong quarantine. 14 days sana. Nag-FBI live ako na nag-quarantine ako ng 14 days earlier this year. Masarap pala gawin yan. Yan, siguro next time. Hopefully, hindi na kailangan ng quarantine. But, sige, during travel. No, isang time, di ba naka-mask ka, nagta-travel ka? Pumunta, doon ako sa Dubai. Last year, mga November, ganun. Tapos, doon ako sa duty free. Tapos, naghanap ako ng mga souvenir sa family, ganun. Biglang nakilala ako nung sales, yung sales manager doon na Pinoy. Tapos sabi ko, well, first of all, I mean, of course, hindi ako nag-feel ng sikat ako or anything like that. Pero nakamask ako and all. Tapos alam mo sabi niya, sir, nakilala ko kayo sa boses niya. In fact, I was speaking English, of course. I was not even, hindi ako nagtatagalog, no? So I was speaking English. Sir, Darian, kayo ba yan? Oh, tapos nakamask ako. Bakit po? Yung boses niyo po, distinct talaga yan. So, pwede tayong mag-radyo. Hindi naman bedroom voice, pero medyo may, alam mo na, may sariling dating daw ang ating voice. May Northern Summer. Yes, our friends from North Korea. Yan na naman tayo, Dre, ha? Huwag tayo mag-troll dyan. I've been in North Korea. I know you cannot Facebook from there. Unless ikaw ay beshi ni Kim Jong-un. But even then, hindi sure. Baka may sasabihin kang mali. Wala ka na. Finish ka na afterwards. Ito ka naman mga North Korea natin dyan. Ha? Yan, Bicol. Kamusta kayo dyan? From Bicol. Hoy, tama na yan. Yung nagtutroll dyan na North Korea. Ano ka dyan, ha? My friends ako dyan, ha? Ano yun kita? Pa-report kita dyan. Ayan, sige. So, going back. So, ito yung issue ko. Actually, kinokontrol ko ng sarili ko. Kasi alam ko, ito troll niyo ako eh. Kasi marami din solid, hindi lang solid Duterte, hindi lang solid Bio, may solid din yung kabila. In fairness, yung mga solid Isko, hindi naman sila, mabait naman sila. So, dun sa mga criticism ko kay Isko, hindi naman sila masyadong mean sa akin. Lalo sa YouTube, among others. Malakas kasi sa YouTube din yung mga solid Isko eh. No, kasi, I'm not happy with the rhetoric of Isko over the past week or so, no? Kasi of course, politics is communications. Pwede natin debatean yung intentions, motivations, ideological purity. Sige, we can go on that forever. Pero ang akin lang na isang issue dito is, ito na, pagod eh. Okay sana yung positioning ni Isko. Tapos yung medyo malapopulist na outburst and all of that, tapos inatake yung critics as ma-elitista ganun. Parang, I'm not sure. I don't think that reflects very well on him. And I think there's a communication issue here. So hopefully ma-level up nila yung communications nila. Now, yung sinabi sa akin ng folks from that camp is parang disappointed si Isko daw kasi he was really expecting na Leni will not run na nga. Kasi Leni was anyway pushing for him and Pacquiao to run again. So even if hindi natuloy yun, parang expectation was Leni will not run. So parang may disappointment talaga yung Isko camp na tumakbo si Leni to begin with. So parang ang interpretation nila is they were given an impression that Leni won't run na. So nung biglang tumakbo, parang di ba? And then yung Isko step down, gano'n yung nag-hashtag trending sa Twitter, na-hurt din yata mong si Isko doon, di ba? So yun yung nagtitrigger ng situation. Now, I'm not here to quote Lito Banayaw among others. Di ba sa campaign ni Duterte yan dati? So, I'm not gonna go there. But I'm just looking at Isko and what I know from Isko and some of the people around him, or not necessarily from the Duterte camp before, anything like that. People are just there for Isko, no? And what he has done in Manila, no? So parang feeling ko, that was not very helpful. And then nakita ko si Pia Ranada sa Rappler. Our good friends, no, may sinulat sila na parang may similarities dun sa yung anti-moralist, anti-decente position niya kay Pangulong Duterte. So essentially, I think Pia is trying to argue here na may pagka-Duterte light, no? Or populism light ang nangyari dito, yung San Miguel light, no? Ang nangyari dito, di ba? Yung may Pilsen tapos light si Tatay Pilsen. So that line is being pushed by some of the people who may be more, partial to a certain party over the other. So I'm just trying to be fair here, no? So ito yung situation nila. But feeling ko naman, hindi ko feeling, I believe, no, na Isko should not have reacted in that way. Aminado naman siya na minsan magaspang siya magsalita. But in fairness to Isko, for years, hindi naman siya magaspang magsalita. He has made it very clear na he doesn't agree with President Duterte, yung nagmumura among other things. This is not family-friendly. This is not God-friendly. So, for someone who's a man of piety, who's a family man, among other things, sana naman yung kay Isko, medyo more careful siya dun sa niya. Kasi, okay, gets ko yung frustration niya, pero for him to pull off yung medyo mala Duterte ng populist outburst, it doesn't reflect very well on him. And it's unfair also to his legacy because President Duterte, because Isko has not been a Duterte-like mayor in Manila. Let's be fair to the guy, no? Wala yung mga EJK na right and left, wala yung drug war na right. Wala naman ganun sa Manila, let's be fair. At ito, tignan nyo, puntahan nyo yung Project Philippines episode namin with Leloy Claudio, who's a self-described Dilawan, right? He said, nung nasa Manila siya, I think nung nasa Lasal siya, he appreciated yung ginawa ni Isko Moreno. So, wala naman tayong ilusyon na Isko is like liberal democrat among other things. May populist naman talaga siya. And he was with ERAP for a long time. Medyo good yung relationship niya with President Duterte in the past. So, not so distant past. Okay, gets namin yan. But to kind of try to discredit him as just another version of Duterte na mga facelift version, parang that also misses the point. Because in fairness to Isko, if you look at his initiatives sa Manila, among other things, he believes in socialized housing. Now, of course, he says he got that from Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore, among other things. But socialized housing has been a staple of welfare states, democratic states around the world, right? Hindi lang sa Singapore, right? We have had that hindi lang sa mga communist bloc countries, Soviet Union or China, whatever. We have had that in European countries, among other things. Kasi, di ba, tama naman yung sinabi ni Isko dahil sa kanyang kahirapan in the past, yung kanyang yung traumatic experiences niya, yung mga pagpag-time and mga other things, he realizes dignity is very central to citizenship. No, you have to give dignity to citizens, and having a proper housing, yung socialized housing, affordable housing is very, very important part of dignity. Having a proper shelter and roof above your head, above your head, your children's head, your parents' head, So in fairness naman sa kanya, tsaka yung mga ibang ginawa naman ni Isko also in Manila, he has done a lot, in terms of during the pandemic. May masabi naman talaga si Isko. Kamusta naman yung ibang candidate dyan? Kamusta ang ginagawa nila during pandemic, di ba? Yung ibang parang nangangampanya, maaga pa lang, di ba? Run. May ganun. Anyways, so Isko has a lot of quite progressive initiatives that he can genuinely emphasize and discuss, among other things. And that brings me, so let me be very clear. I don't think kanyang populist outbursts and all reflects very well on him. I think he has to up the communications game. I hope mag-stabilize yung kanyang team kasi nawala na si Cesar Chavez, yung kanyang chief of staff, someone that we used to message if we wanted to organize interviews with Isko. Nawala rin si Malutikia, I think months earlier from his circle. So medyo may mga changes na nangyari sa loob ng kanyang inner circle, among others. No? So tingnan natin. Si Lito Banayo lang yata yung medyo steady doon. So let's see what's gonna happen there. No? But they really have to kind of refine the communications and all of that. And this is 2022, hindi ito 2016. So some people think that him by trying to pull off some Duterte, it will score him points and everything like that. Well, let me tell you this, it might just alienate some of the other potential voters who want some sort of change from President Duterte, right? Okay. Now, let's go to the real opposition. Kasi yun nga yung line ng mga tao na nag-a-attack kay Isko from the left, right? Iba naman yung line of attack from the right. Yung sa kanila, hindi pure opposition si Isko, or hindi talaga opposition yon, secret candidate ni Paul Duterte, etc. Now, just keep in mind yung mga sinasabi kong track record ni Isko bilang mayor ng Manila. Socialized housing, yung tulong sa mga tao sa iba't ibang barangay, sa vaccination rollout. Some of this done actually in coordination with Vice President Leni. Tingnan mo yung mga pictures online. Kaya nga inisip na pwede sila mag-team up among other things. No? Now, keep that in mind. And then now, tignan natin yung Senate slate ng real opposition. No? Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So, some people there have been attacking Isko saying hindi siya real opposition, among other things. Dapat talaga dun tayo sa real opposition, among other things. Okay, I mean, of course, Leni, consistent siya in terms of her opposition to Pangulong Duterte, di ba? Throughout the years, among other things. Pero tignan naman natin itong Senate slate. Kompleto na ba? 12 na ba? Sinama na si Neri Colmenares. Si Attorney Neri, sinama na. Nakita ko yung tweet niya nag-react ko doon sa tweet niya. Kasi 11 yung nakita ko nung last time na meron sila. Hindi ko alam kung sumama na si Neri Colmenares doon sa number 12. So meron din slot na open. But I think Pacquiao has included, I think, Neri in his Senate slate, no? So Pacquiao is doing some interesting move here. So, tingnan natin dyan. So, meron kang Teddy Baguilat. Okay, Teddy Baguilat, of course. Given na yan. Meron kang Leila de Lima. Of course. Given na yan. Opposition yan. Meron kang Chel Jokno. Of course. Running as independent. Katipunan na nagkakaisang Pilipino. So, he has an independent party, no? Meron kang Riza Ontiveros, of course, from Akbayan Party, very progressive, very strong. Meron kang Antonio Trillanes, Magdalo, depending on how you wanna say it. And then yun, it gets interesting na from here. Then biglang meron kang Jojo Binay from United Nationalist Alliance. Ayan, meron kang Jojo Binay. Meron kang Dick Gordon. Now, let's remember ano yung mga ginagawa ni Dick Gordon bilang senator, not in the past few months over Formali, not when patapos ng term ni Pangulong Duterte. Let's remember what was happening dun sa Justice Committee among others few years ago. Medyo mag-flashback tayo, 2018, 2019, yung mga investigations about war on drugs ni Pangulong Duterte. Kamusta yung performance ni Gordon there? Did he openly oppose extrajudicial killings the way that Isko Moreno openly opposed extrajudicial killings doon sa kanyang interview? Not only with me, but with Karen Davel among others. On the record yan. I also asked him on the record back in 2019. Sabi niya, ayaw namin ng EJK. Did Dick Gordon say the same thing when he was a senator and overseeing Justice Committee's investigations on EJK among other investigations back in 2018-19? Or yung kay Jojo Binay. Kamusta si Binay? Hindi ba si Binay yung ng Betanua ng Liberal Party and opposition back in 2016? Meron kang Alex Lacson, meron kang Joel Villanueva, meron kang Mig Zubiri. Very interesting, very, very interesting. Itong Senate slate ng opposition, ng real opposition. So, this is the rub, no? If you're gonna run this line, and by the way, this is not about Leni, because I think Vice President Leni Robredo has been gentleman, as she put it her way. Very good decision by her na nagpapaka-gentleman siya, hindi siya nag-escalate niyan. So, all kudos to Leni Robredo. So, this is not about Leni Robredo. This is about some people, whether in her camp or supporters of or all, na nagbabash kay Isko, kung ano-anong sinasabi kay Isko, na si Isko ay Manchurian candidate, si Isko ay secret candidate Duterte, napikon si Isko, nagre-react si Isko. Kasi I think Isko really felt like biglang stabbed from nowhere, di ba? Kaya yung grabe reaction. And then, ano naman ang reaction nila ngayon na meron kang Binay, meron kang Gordon, meron kang dito sa Senate slate ng real opposition. So yun ang sinasabi ko eh. If you want to run the pragmatic line, then run the pragmatic line. If you want to talk about united Big Tent opposition, run the united Big Tent opposition argument. Pero kung you want to run the purity argument, and then later on, dun sa Senate slate ng pure opposition, biglang meron kang mga ganyan tao na not necessarily pure opposition, or some would even say far from it, especially liberal opposition, then what are we gonna make out of that? So, ito lang sa akin be consistent talaga. I mean, either you're gonna go Big Tent, because the Big Tent argument is this. Okay, Leni's gonna run, Isko is gonna run, Pacquiao is gonna run. Pero in the meantime, wag niyo naman tratuhin ng isa't isa bilang kalaban. Magkaribal kayo. Karibal, iba yan sa kalaban. Diba? Karibal, meaning it's a game. Whoever wins, that's it. Pero kalaban, talagang existential fight ito. Diba? Either you win or I'll win no matter what. No, beyond and before and above the elections. No? So, magkaribal sila ngayon ni Isko and Pacquiao si Leni. But let's not forget, a few weeks ago, they were trying to form a united opposition. And may mga overlap naman sila in terms of interest and some of the ideals and all. They're not exactly the same. So, dapat may Venn diagram ka dun. So, if your argument is that, it makes sense to even have people like Gordon, Senator Zubiri, Senator, former Mayor and Vice President Binay there. Okay, you want to make that argument? Go ahead. Okay. That's it. It makes sense, right? Yan naman talagang ginagawa sa iba't ibang bansa, lalong-lalo na kung may runoff elections, di ba? Nagsasama-sama yung mga opposition laban dun sa malakas na administration or yung kung authoritarian administration. Yan na nangyari around the world. Sa Brazil, sa India, na very divided country, polarized country, unequal countries ng katulad natin. Even sa Indonesia, nakikita natin yan. Sa Turkey, sa Hungary, sa Poland. So I can name you many countries under authoritarian populist leaders. Yan ang nangyari. So center-left, far-left, center-center, even sometimes center-right, nag-team up versus yung medyo more far-right na administration, no, or its bets. Okay, you wanna run the pragmatic argument, be my guest. Makes sense. This is politics. This is election. But if you want to run that argument, and at the same time you want to run the purity test argument, ay medyo mahirap yan. You cannot have the cake and eat it too. So if you want to make the purity argument, then you have to make sure your Senate slate is also a purity test. I don't see a purity test here. I'm just going to be brutally honest about it. I see pragmatism, and I have no problem. If pragmatism is the way forward, then that's the way forward. Open-minded naman tayo. Hindi tayo naman mga open-minded. No, I mean in the political sense, diba? But you cannot have it both ways. You cannot say, pragmatic ako, then pure ako. No, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. Right? So you have to make a choice. So if you're gonna run the pragmatic argument, you have to make sure na hindi ganun ka-poison yung relationship between the Isko, Pacquiao, and Leni camp. Because if it push comes to shove, come March, the candidate to beat is still Bongbong Marcos. And the only way for the opposition to beat Bongbong Marcos is to kind of do smart tactical voting around the most viable candidate of the alternative, non-continuity. Then you have to make sure yung relationship ay hindi ganun ka-toxic para that's possible. Pero kung ito-toxic mo, grabing toxic yung relationship among yung mga karibal na alternative na opposition, hindi mangyayari yan. Panalong-panalo yung kabila. Panalong-panalong kabila. We saw that with Mar Rojas and Grace. Well, let's not forget. From numbers I saw, pag sinama mo yung votes ni Mar Rojas and Grace po, hindi ba parang lampas na 19 million yata? So that's millions more than the vote Duterte got. Now, imagine if Aquino, the late President Aquino, and the Liberal Party was able to, coalesce behind the most viable candidate and put all the resources and support there. Maybe Duterte would have had to retire 2016 pa lang, as I said. But that didn't happen. No? And then grabing toxic ng back and forth between camp ni Grace po, camp ni Mar. Kasi ako, I have friends from all camps, right? On Facebook, may Marcoses, ang dami. Duterte, dami pro Leni, and dami rin, of course, pro Mar. Dami rin, may mga pro Grace po rin. So, nakikita ko yung mga exchanges nila. Grabe, di ba? So, that's my thing. You have to make up your mind. Are you gonna do a Big Ten pragmatic analysis dito sa election na ito? Or you're gonna do the purity test? And alam natin, when you try to run purity test, where it ends. If too much ka naman mag-pragmatism, na basta hindi lang Duterte or Marcos, that also has its own downside. So that's the difficult thing in politics. Politika po ay hindi black and white lang. 50 shades of gray yan, unfortunately. Unfortunately. Maybe not the 50 shades of gray na movies, unfortunate, or yung book na hindi ko binabasa. Sorry, hindi mga ganun ang binabasa ko. I mean, you can see, diba? Ang taste natin. But politics can be 50 shades of gray. You may not get perfect white, but you try to go for the lightest version of gray as you can get, right? Because, hindi ito medieval times na you can run on moral platform alone. Dapat effective ka, dapat charismatic ka. You have to make some difficult choices among other things. So yun, 50 shades of gray ang politika, not just black and white. Now, you want to run it as light as possible, light gray as possible, be my guest. But do not act like gray and then position yourself as pure white. It doesn't happen that way. But I'm talking about political colors, okay? Baka maano tayo dyan. On PC tayo. So do you get what I'm saying here? So this is the fundamental argument I'm making. The opposition, whoever is it, they have to be honest about it. Are they going to be pragmatic in these elections and go for Big Tent? Or are they going to go for the purity test that could be also toxic and divisive in itself? If you also go too pragmatic, there's also a risk there that magiging alternative trapo lang politics mo. You're not against trapo politics. You're just gonna get alternative trapos into politics. And then what? We're back to zero, right? I mean, let's not forget the reason why Duterte won in 2016, among other things, is split yung opposition, right? Which, by the way, got more vote when put together, right? And then the other thing is, ayan, ang dami sa trapong politics. So yung moral politik ng dating administration was not appreciated by people because people will see all of this moralistic argument on the top. And then in their everyday reality, they see all these trapos dominating all positions of government. Between 70 to 90% of our elected offices are dominated by political dynasties. I mean, this is insane. This is insane number. Even some Mexico, in Latin America, Argentina, you don't see those kinds of numbers. This is crazy. This is crazy. So if your strategy of Big Tent is replacing trapo with trapo, like trapo with a human face versus authoritarian trapo, di back to zero na naman tayo after a few years niyan, di ba? So, yeah, you know, you have to balance it. Some degree of moral integrity, some degree of Big Ten pragmatism. It's that combination, it's that electoral alchemy calculus that you have to get right. So I'll keep it there before I say more controversial things, which I'm gonna say, but in a different FBI live sessions, hopefully. Okay, may mga questions kayo dyan. Ito na, let's make it a little bit more interactive. Ay, may nag-react na really. Ayan, my vote is Leni. Let Leni leave. Oy, grabe. Ayan na, may mga trolls na tayo. Let Bato lead nga. Leni lang. Let Leni lead. Robredo for president. Ayan, maraming mga Robredo. I agree most of the polls. I mean, again, there's trapo and there's trapo, right? Even among trapos, there's 50 shades of gray, right? Some of the trapos, medyo nag-aral, inaayos ng sarili, medyo they can work it through, and then may mga trapos na talagang, di ba? So, this is the difficulty of politics. When you're a voter, you have to be realistic. You may not get an angel. Absolutely, you're not gonna get an angel in elections. And you see, very good people, they don't bother to join elections in politics, especially in our kind of system. Siguro kung nasa Sweden tayo or Denmark or those kinds of countries, baka you can be an ordinary person, labor union leader or ordinary teacher and become, you know, even a prime minister or leader. That's very possible in those countries kasi may real political parties, hindi mo kailangan mangutang ng pera or to be beholden to oligarchs kasi yung political party mo ay real, they raise funds, may membership na malaki. You know, especially mga social democratic party, kitang-kita natin yan sa mga Scandinavian countries. You know, so, you know, I've analyzed these places, I've visited, you know, social democratic places and others. So I know ours is not like that. So if you're an angel, you have a pure heart. I'm not sure, you know, our politics is really best. Of course, you can name some people. I mean, Vico Soto is an interesting case because I think the guy really has good heart. And he's doing some very interesting things, you know, in cleaning up governance done. So, but also let me be honest. I mean, he's a Soto, right? He comes from a celebrity family. What if he were not a Soto? You think he would have won? I mean, let's just be honest about it. I think, you know, Vico Soto has done a great job. At the same time, you know, he was also very good in leveraging, you know, his background among other things. You know, his dad during campaigns and all of that. So let's be realistic also about this. You know, ang hindi pa natin nakita dito sa Pilipinas is what happened in some of our neighboring countries. Like for instance, in Indonesia, when someone like Joko Widodo is really literally small-time mayor na hindi yung pumapatay ng tao and all of that, became their president, right? Someone from very normal, ordinary background, walang political dynasties, wala, you know. I didn't need to rely on funding from other countries or China. I mean, naging presidente. So, you know, we're behind even Indonesia, just to put things into context. And Indonesia transitioned to democracy when? Late 1990s to be charitable, but in fact, Joko is only their second directly elected president. You know, just to put that into context. Nakailan directly elected president tayo in the Philippines. And look at it, Indonesia is already ahead of us in some ways. So those are the things that I think we have to keep in mind. Ayan na, may mga galit kay BBM dito, tapos may mga BBM supporters. Ay, so meron din, so yung iba sa inyo, tingin nyo magkakaroon din ng withdrawal or substitution sa opposition. I mean, you have to be brutally honest. If the opposition wants to beat the Marcoses, because Marcos seems to be the candidate to beat so far, and even more so if Sara doesn't run, then, sabihin natin, yung isang candidate na hindi Marcos, 20%, yung isa 25%, yung isa 15%. Then you have to make certain decisions, right? Yun lang sinasabi ko. Remember, may ranked choice voting dun sa ibang places. Like for instance, in New York, dun sa mga Democrats. Hindi mo lang, you don't just choose one. You rank yung preference mo. And then may point system yan. So yung pinakamaraming nakuha point, yun ang magiging top candidate. Hindi lang yung only choice mo lang. So you take into consideration first, second, third, fourth choice, whatever. Yung may ranking system. I think that's a very interesting way of voting. Although, eto na nga, yung sa atin nga, run-off election na nga lang, wala tayo eh. You see, let me put it this way. All Marcos has to win is more vote than everyone else. So he can become the next president with 30-35% of the votes, potentially. Right? Kung isi-split ng 4 or 5 other candidates yung remaining 60%. Let's just be brutally honest about this. Walang runoff election to. So BBM doesn't even need to get majority of the votes. He might even become the president with far fewer votes than Duterte. Or share of the votes. Duterte got 39%. Lower than Erap, lower than Aquino. And let's just be also very clear about the numbers here. That's not a majority. That was a plurality. But Marcos can win with even a smaller plurality. Ramos became the president with less than 24%. But Ramos was not a polarizing figure like BBM. So let's not say, oh, it worked with Mar Ramos, therefore who cares if the next president gets only 25-30%. Well, if someone who's polarizing, whether from this side or that side, becomes the next president with 25-30%, you got some issues there, right? So yun, I'm just trying to put that into context. No, any questions there before? Sorry, I'm talking to guys. I'm talking to my students. No, any questions there? May mga tanong kayo dyan. Kasi bukas may mga iba tayong analyze. Hopefully I can wake up very early, do a lot of my jobs very early. Tonight I'll try to sleep earlier kasi may podcast pa kami later. Si Samira Gotok naman ang i-interview namin. So na-interview na namin si Leloy. Si Samira naman next. And hopefully makuha namin si Lord de Vera and so on and so forth later on. Okay? Kunin ko sana si Isko kasi baka troll tayo. Pero if we're gonna get Isko, we'll hope to get Leni and everyone else. Okay, let's see. Kaya please support us para pansinin din kami. Leni's vote is not just an Isko vote, but we can't convert on this. No, I'm just saying, come March, let's say your preferred candidate got 10% of the vote. Your second preferred candidate is having 25% of the vote potentially. What are you going to do? You're going to stick with the 10% and risk both your number 1 and 2 losing? Or you're going to switch to your number 2 to make sure that at least your number 2 wins? This is up to you. No one can force you. I'm saying, as a voter, you have to have multiple choices. Hindi lang pwede isa. I mean, of course, you can stick to one if you think there's only one good, but remember, there's going to be risk here. Now, what if your only candidate is not going to do very well come next March? I'm just telling you. But I'm not addressing to a specific candidate's supporters. I'm addressing to supporters of candidates with similar or overlapping agenda, right? Not exactly the same, but overlapping agenda. Yeah. So please, let's not fall victim to what Freud called narcissism of small differences, right? But let's not get there. Okay. Yes. Any other points? Let's talk about competencies. Ay, mahirap na tanong yan in competencies. Let me just say this. Competency in leadership is not necessarily a function of whether Ivy League graduate ka or UP, Ateneo, ESD ka. I mean, tingnan mo maraming trapos natin. Saan sila nag-aral, right? But you have to have certain basic educational training. Let's just be honest about it. In other countries in Europe, I think dapat meron kang, I mean, I know in some countries dapat may master's ka, I think, or something like that to run for certain offices. And then in cabinet position in Germany, it's not required, but having a PhD helps. I mean, Chancellor Merkel, has a PhD, if I'm not mistaken, in physics. I think with some background in chemistry. So I think she's Dr. Chancellor. And I think she could also potentially become Professor Merkel. So let's look at that. So in Germany, for instance, dapat may advanced graduate degrees ka. But hindi naman tayo elitistang ganun, di ba? Hindi naman tayo Germany. But I'm saying like certain level of basic training. Hindi lang read and write. Sana understand rin, no? Because otherwise, you're beholden to your advisors. And we don't elect advisors. We elect presidents. So even if you have the best advisor, my advisor naman yan. But we don't elect advisors. We elect the president. So dapat may basic competency. Hindi kailangan na Harvard Law School or UP or whatever. Hindi naman kailangan yan. Pero sana naman may basic competency para gets na naman niya, di ba? Yung kay Lelo yan dyan na, sa YouTube na. Episode 14, Project Pilipinas. I'm gonna post also the link shortly. So I'm just so busy, I didn't have time to post it. Na-post ko lang yung article ko kanina sa Nikkei Asia. Yeah. Ano pa? Who's among them as they address social justice? You know what? Bakit tayo mga, ito yung issue ka, bakit tayo mga voters, kaysa i-pressure natin lahat ng candidates to be answerable to us and to focus on issues that are relevant to us, bakit tayo nag-aaway with each other as if ang pinag-awayan natin, yung mga kapatid natin at nanay natin? These are all politicians. They're all not the same, but they're politicians. So they will respond if we put pressure on them. So kaysa yung, si Isko mas magaling, si Leni mas magaling, si Bibi mas... Kaysa ganun, let's put pressure on all our candidates, including our preferred candidates, to do their job. To raise social justice issues, socialized housing issues, land reform issues, labor union rights issues, trade and industrial policy issues, foreign policy, West Philippine Sea issues, human rights issues. Yan ang gawin natin. Pressure natin candidates natin kaysa yung parang, ano to? Di ba? Huwag tayong ganun, di ba? Let's do our job. right? Let's do our job, and our job is to put pressure on them and make sure that the candidates are are performing their mandate and they're true to the constitutional principles of our country. Okay? Ayan na, may Mariah Carey for president. Ayan na, nagtitroll na yung mga tao. Oh, tama na yan. Nagtitroll na kayo, kaya tama na yan. Alis na ako. Sino ang fall mula? Yeah, you could say, not President Duterte, but some of his policies more to the far right. A little bit. No, lalo yung sa war and drugs niya. No? Marcos's are kind of also right, a little bit more right. And then you have center-right candidates. You can say Isko is somewhere in center, right? Well, he wants to be healing president. On some issues, he's more right. On some issues, he's more left. So, indeed, remember, the right and left comes from the experience of France, no? Heading into the French Revolution. The idea is that yung mga nakaupo sa left, ito yung mga revolutionary, want to change. Yung mga nasa right, conservative, pro-Bourbon. So that's where the reference for left and right comes from. But in reality, it's actually cross-cutting cleavages. So you can be right-wing on social issues, left-wing on economic issues, which is the case in a lot of places, like in the US, like in the Rust Belt, no? Conservative sila sa immigration issues, pero sa other issues like minimum wage, they're more left-wing. So I think Isko is kind of like that. No, there's some issues he's a little bit more to the right. There's some issues he's more to the left. So he's more center, very center. Medyo Macronish, as I said, Macronish. And then Pacquiao, he's trying to focus on the issue of, I think, corruption and poverty alleviation. So not too different from Isko. But the thing though with Pacquiao is that I think he's willing to go stronger against the Marcos issue, the corruption issue, among others, perhaps. Medyo mas crusade mode siya. While Isko is more focused on healing, economic recovery, ending the pandemic, so more solution-based, forward-looking. And of course, each of them have pros and cons. No? And then Leni is center-left, not left-left, but center-left. Liberal-left, I think, is one of the terms used for that. So she's liberal in general, meaning she believes in pluralistic politics, among other things. Hindi yung mala komunista na sila lang yung version nila. But may mga left progressive grassroots tendencies din siya. So liberal left ang term dyan. So the counterpart of her would be something like somewhere between Christian Democrats, Social Democrats in Germany, or at most Social Democrats in Germany, I would say. Something like that, right? And then the Neri Colmenares types are more left, right? Not far left, but left. Right? Hindi naman sila yung communist and all. So progressive left. So medyo may I would say medyo closer maybe to Sanders. Again, these examples are not perfect. I'm just giving you names that you're more familiar with because I can give you names from, I don't know, Sweden, Germany, New Zealand, among other things. I mean, for instance, Jacinda Ardern is left. Center left to left. Yung Prime Minister in New Zealand, right? Labour Party. Medyo quite to the left siya. No, not the Labour Party, but she represents quite more progressive section. So ganun. Wala naman tayong far left. Si Kalodi left din eh. Kalodi, who's running for president, left din siya. So he's for progressive politics, for tsaka yung better conditions, living conditions for workers. So medyo left siya. Pero wala naman tayong far left. I think madi-disqualified kung may mga open communist or something na tumakbo or Stalinist or gano'n, diba? So thankfully wala naman tayong gano'n. Any last questions before we go? Aside from questions about my personal plans. Tingnan mo natin ano nangyari dito. Mag-FBI live muna tayo. I'm not gonna endorse anyone, no. I have contractual obligations to be non-partisan. So again, hindi ako nagpapanggap. I have my own convictions in life. I make no compromises on those issues. Maybe one reason I don't like politics, to join politics myself. But at the same time, I'll try to be fair to all candidates and all sides as much as I can, as much as humanly possible, right? That's what I'm going to do here. I'm not here to endorse a specific candidate. I'm here to endorse certain policies and visions. Yes, absolutely. I am for land reform, effective land reform. I am for a stronger, tougher policy in the West Philippine Sea. I can go through the list. And whichever candidate I must tugma doon, then, I'll go along those way and I'll vote accordingly. Ito na naman, tinitroll na naman tayo. Ayan, sige, cover natin. Sorry. Bro, papisit kayo kay Bato. Hindi ako PDP laban at saka HNP. So, hindi pwede. Kailangan same party eh. Alright? No, I don't think Isko is gonna slide down. This is it. Isko, when he makes a decision, that's it. He's gonna go all the way. I think tingin ni Isko, this is his time. And if he wins, then he wins. If he doesn't, then that's it. Right. Paulit-ulit ng Marcos uli. Okay. Anyways, alright. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat. Ayan, may nakita sa akin sa UP. Ayan, anak ko po, huli tayo dyan. Uy, mabait ako. Socially distance. Okay. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much for keeping up with me. Mga matagal na naman yung usapan. I was thinking naman 15-10 minutes. Kasi nga, I have to practice my TikTok, diba? Yung medyo mga 2-minuters, you can see, CNN, that's what I do, 2-3 minutes, boom, 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 I can do that. Pero yung mala TikTok, practicean natin yan. Hindi pa ako ready for TikTok eh. Pero kailangan na lalo sa mga Gen Z. But mukhang dito sa Facebook, marami tayong mga followers na mga Gen Z eh. So, yes, hindi lang pala pang baby boomers at Mang Johnny ang mga followers natin dito. Right. Yes, Frederick Douglass yung nasa taas. Of course, someone I really look up to. Yep. Great person. Grabe, 12th. I'm again, as far as I'm concerned, I think on certain issues I'm more conservative, on certain issues I'm more progressive, right? So yeah. As I said, it's cross-cutting cleavages and among other things. So intersectionality, I think, is one of the terms that is being... Feminists use that term, but I also use the term in politics, intersectionality in politics. You can be more conservative on certain social policies, more progressive on certain economic policies. Or, in my case, probably a little bit more conservative on foreign policy, right? I believe in nationalism and patriotism, defending West Philippine Sea, while there are other people who are more internationalist, more left, more progressive, more isolationist. So, depende rin yan, yeah. Yan, TikTok. Yun nga, hindi ko alam yung TikTok. Turuan niyo ako. Paano mag-TikTok na may dignidad pa ako afterwards, na may self-respect pa ako. Yun, wala naman akong problema eh. I can go and talk for hours. Wala naman akong problema dyan. Ang problema ko is, how can I do a TikTok na pagkatapos ng TikTok na yan, marespeto pa ako sa sarili ko. Buti nga, tinuro pa ako ng iba. Parang may duet, may mga ganun-ganun na option. Ako, pag hindi mo nilagay, ito-troll ka nila eh. Kukunin nila yung mo, tapos i-react ka nila. Yung parang may mga Chel Jokno style, pero bubuliin ka, no? Hindi yung ginawa ni Chel Jokno kay Vice na maganda yun. Pero, so I have to learn. Kasi baka mamaya magkakamali tayo, di ba? Matatroll na naman tayo dyan sa TikTok. Alam na this! Yeah, Leni has her vision for the country. A lot of these candidates actually have good visions for this country. Let's just try to listen to them and not just look at the headlines, okay? Yun lang. Pakinggan nyo rin yung mga speeches ni Isko. Pakinggan nyo yung buong speech at yung context. So hindi lang yung mga sinasabi niya na hindi, hindi may alam mo na this. Yun lang. Let's just be fair. The same way with Leni and all of the other candidates. But, of course, alam din natin ibang candidates there, anong stance sila. Yung isa, golden age daw yung time ng martial law. Kamusta naman ang facts? Yung isa naman, diba? Alam na this. Tingnan mo si Harry Roque nag-TikTok. Tingnan mo. Ano nangyari? Kaya nga ayoko mag-TikTok eh. Sige. Alright. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much, folks. Hopefully we're gonna also do more interviews sa TV programs among others in the coming months. Inaayos pa namin yung mga guidelines and everything like that to make sure fair and balanced yung coverage namin ng elections. But in the meantime, in my own private platforms, please follow us. Alright? And of course, my interviews with international media. I think Deutsche Welle, France 24, CNN, etc. You can just Google my name, put my name in Google News, it will all come out. Put my name on YouTube, it will all come out. Put my name on Google, no, come out. So, hindi ako mahirap hanapin, right? Lalo yung mga respectable site, kung makita mo talagang analysis na talagang, alam mo na this, di ba? Hindi yung mga TikToker style. Alright? Mocha Uson, tignan natin. Ilan bang vote niya last time? 50,000. Ilan bang vote niya last time? Out of the 5-6 million followers. Okay, anyways. Alright, shout out John for our friend Lee Copper from Albay, right? Yan, tama yan, dignity after TikTok. Yun ang problema. Yun ang issue ko talaga, promise. Kasi may nag-comment last time na may mga nag-moves akong ganon. Sabi na, you're so tito na. Grabe! Titos of Manila na ako. Hindi pa rin naman. Millennial pa rin tayo dyan. Diba? Yan. Okay. Ano na? Balansehin at mag-discern. Yes, tama yan, tama yan. Sige. Okay na. Thank you na. Salamat. Please continue to reach out. Message niyo ako among others. But dito na lang kasi yung mga private message, kung ano na mga nakakuha kong private message, yung mga tipong tell me more about your background and self. Ano yun? Stock questions pa yun. Hindi ito dating site, okay? This is a serious online interaction. Alright, maraming salamat. Thank you very much. I keep on saying this and then tuloy-tuloy eh. Kasi curious ako yung mga ano niyo dyan eh. Ano yung mga sinasabi niyo dyan. Kaya parang gusto ko mag-finish and then ay may maganda. Alright, shout out din para sa ibang friends natin dyan. Yes. Wala pa yung cousins ko. Friends, cousins, Marco, kamusta? From Espanya. Wala today, natulog na yata. Ano oras ba ngayon sa Espanya? Alright. Wash out po. Grabe. Wash out. Sino yung wash out natin? Grabe kayo. Sige. Kinoment pa yung ano ko. Ano na? Okay. Sige, bye-bye. Thank you. Please read my article yung on Nikkei Asia. The tide is shifting. Basahin yun. Pinost ko lang yun right before. And then, of course, my Philippine Daily Inquirer column will also come out tomorrow. Among other articles, right? That are gonna come out this week. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much. There's also one with Monocle Magazine in United Kingdom. And then on Asia Times, I'm writing something else about the geopolitics in the Indo-Pacific, right? So, actually, yung day job ko is more on geopolitics and foreign policy. So, medyo night job ko tong ginagawa ko ngayon. Kasi tulog kayo sa gabi eh. Except yung mga friends natin sa Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, friends natin in Dublin, Scotland, Vancouver, Canada, yan. Australia 2 hours ahead yung mga nasa New South Wales and all. So yan, depende na yan. Alright, ayan, si Marco, cousin. Musta dyan from, Espanya. Sabihin ko ba? Ibiza ba? Yan, ¿cómo estás, mi amigos? Yan, buenos días. Yan, hopefully, hasta pronto. Yeah. Yun nga, gusto ko regular kasi Facebook alive. Ayoko naman yung mga antok-antokin ako, pagod ako, tapos tingnan nga, iBugs pa rin and all, tapos hindi ko gusto pilitin. Pero yeah, I think the best time talaga is Itbulaga time, 1 to 2 p.m. Yan, Ibiza boy, cousin. Meron pa tayo isa pang cousin dyan sa Norway, hindi nagpapapansin sa atin. Yan. Tsaka yung mga cousins natin dyan in Baguio. Yeah. Stay dyan! Cousins in Ilocos! Yeah! Ito na. Magko-comment na yung mga dyan. Yan, pa-shoutout din naman yung iba dyan. My friends are in Calgary, Canada! Yeah! Okay, this is good. Ganun na lang siguro tayo. Huwag na tayo mag-analyze. Mag-ano lang tayo. Comment lang tayo sa comment nyo dyan. Put your link on your page for the Inquirer article. You can just put Richard Haydar, yan, Inquirer, on Google, lalabas po yan. Alright? Maraming salamat po. Pasensya na. I mean, I try to share as much as I can. Yung previous article natin, I think, on Inquirer, the Pink Revolution, I think 11,000 na yung likes niya. Alright, so good. Let's keep it that way. Medyo ganun tayo. May mga 10,000, 20,000 ng likes. Para makita naman ng kabila, may mga nagbabasa tayo, di ba? Diba? I mean, there are things that I can write and really condense and distill na hindi ko magawa in... I mean, of course, I can do that, but hindi ka naman... What's the point of doing FBI Live kung sobrang seryoso, di ba? I mean, the point is FBI Live is to interesting, engaging, entertaining analysis, right? Pero kung gusto niyo makita yung serious side ko, yung nagbasa ng mga ganito, yun, please, basahin yung... Just go to Google, Haydar yan. Inquirer, lalabas yan. Haydar, New York Times, lalabas yan. CNN, lalabas yan. Okay? Yan, Google. 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 Watching from Singapore. Yeah, regular daily. Oo nga eh, hindi pa kasi monetize tong Facebook ko. Hindi ako, wala. Paano tayo kikita niyan? Tingnan natin siguro. Kawawa naman tayo dyan. Yung mga vlogger dyan, kumikita, post sila ng 5 to 6 every day. Kita-kita dyan, money. Wala naman tayong ganun eh. Ano lang tayo dito eh. Mga... tayo dyan, pro bono style. Yan, friends from Binangonan, Rizal. Kamusta kay Jan? Yung kay Lele Claudio, you can actually, I'll post it shortly. Pag tinapos ko na to, promise, i-post ko na kay Leloy. Tapos mamaya si Samira Gotok naman yung next. And hopefully si Lord De Vera, among others, ang kunin namin next. Lord De Vera, kung nakikinig ka, na parang hindi. Pero thanks for meeting the other day. Okay. Grabe, celebrity na celebrity. Hindi naman, simpleng tao nga lang kami dito eh. Diba? Wala nga kami time mag-develop ng ating mga triceps and all, diba? Kasi mga celebrity, may time mag-gym, may time mag-gana. Wala kaming ganun eh. Wala kaming time. May mga writers kami, mga eyebags, kaya yan. UK. Of course they can reach me anywhere, right? Yeah, I mean, I've had interviews with BBC. Monocle Magazine, they're gonna publish a work of mine soon. That's based in London, so kindly check that out. Oh, yung cousin na naman natin, Jan Marco. Yeah, from the family. Shout out, Prof. Yan. Jordan Iglesias. Kamusta ba kayo dyan? Mag-YouTube channel kayo. Meron akong YouTube channel. Lagay nyo, Richard Darian. So please follow us on YouTube also. Like, I think Politica 360 or something like that. Basta Richard Darian lagay malalabas yung channel. So please follow us also there. Oh, tama na yan. Shout out na naman dyan yung magazine natin. North Caloocan. Ayan. Hello Jan from South Quezon City. Gusto ko rin ng ganun. From West Quezon City. Yan, ganun din tayo. Yan. Shout out Jan, of course. Sino pa dyan? Surigao City, Caraga. Yan, for Leni yung mga to, Watching from Saudi. Wassalamu alaikum. Aba, let Leni lead. Okay, yan. Teleserye offer. Tanong ko yung manager ko. Well, I mean, pwede akong, ayoko yung, so, ganun, no? Ayoko yung kontrabida, pero gusto ko yung mga action, para mapakita natin mga jumping moves natin, mga kicks. Kaya ko pa rin, kahit medyo matanda na, I still can do that. Hindi ko kailangan ng stuntman. Kawawa lang kung medyo na-hit ko yung isa. You can check yung videos natin ng mga turning kicks, mga ganun. Yeah, alam natin yan. So, hindi ko kailangan ng stuntman. Basta millennial tayo. Hindi tayo ganun katanda. Ano yun? Third or fourth on Rappler? Rappler, oo. Yan! Wala na yung Nike shoes ko na green, yun. Playlist, alam mo, nung medyo bagets pa tayo, na hindi ko alam na saan kayo nun, mahilig ako sa nung time ng Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, Benny Benassi, mga dugs-dugs, ganun. Ngayon na medyo matanda na tayo, balik tayo sa Michael Bublé, siguro mga ganun ang gusto natin. Yeah. Actually, I don't listen to mga music na may human, more gusto ko yung parang instrumental, piano, mga ganun. Mga classical, yep. I like very much classical music. At saka mga music ni Max Richter, or Richter, depending on Max Richter, very good stuff. Please listen to it. It's very good for writing. Kasi when you write, you really need to be concentrated. No? Rome, Italia. Yeah, Italia. Forza, Italia. Azzurri. Yeah, Azzurri. Alam natin dyan. Been there for a while. Been there number of times. Diba? Cousin? Roma. Remember? Six Planet. Grabe, mga solar system naman tayo. Kasing president natin, best in solar system. Diba? Ayan. Sige, alright. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Let's just keep it here. Alright? Okay, God bless. Mamaya na yung mga personal questions yung mga matanda ka na ba or hindi ka na matanda, ganun. Sige? Alright. Wala pa akong asawa kaya nakakapaggawa ako ng FB Live. Pero pag nag-asawa na tayo, hopefully, wala na tayong time siguro for ganun. Mag-alaga ka ng bata, yung diapers, mga ganun yun. Kaya yun, wala na. Sige, salamat. Thank you very much. Have a good day. God bless. Ingat kayo dyan.